What if a simple agreement turns into a living nightmare? What happens when a deal meant to bring power and legacy to one man ends up shattering everything he believed in? In today's video, we delve into the gripping story of a billionaire who thinks he has it all under control: money, power, and influence. But when he hires a woman to carry his child, a deal made for the future of his empire, things take a twisted turn. What begins as a calculated decision designed to guarantee his family's future quickly spirals into a nightmare of secrets, betrayal, and revelations. The woman he believed was nothing more than a pawn in his game turns out to be far more than he bargained for. And as the birth approaches, the unexpected happens, setting the stage for a shocking conclusion no one could have predicted. What happens at birth will change everything, and the once confident billionaire will soon realize he's not the one in control anymore. The sleek, towering buildings of the city reflect the cold, calculated world in which he thrives. Inside his penthouse, the only thing that moves is the subtle hum of the air conditioner, keeping the oppressive heat of tension at bay. He stares out the window, a man who's used to getting his way, but something is different tonight. There's a heaviness in the air, something not quite right. The silence feels like it's about to be shattered. He's waited years for this moment, to have a child, to continue his legacy, to build an empire that will last for generations. But as the due date draws near, the tension grows. There's an uncertainty now, a nagging feeling that he can't shake. This isn't just about a child anymore. It's about power, about control, and about the unpredictable consequences of a decision he may not have fully understood. Everything that he thought was under control isn't. But what if this wasn't just about having a child? What if it was about something deeper, something darker, something far beyond his reach? And as the birth draws closer, a shocking twist is just around the corner, waiting to turn everything he's worked for into rubble. Stay with us, because you're about to witness a story that will leave you questioning everything. The penthouse is still, an eerie quiet that feels almost oppressive, as if the city's endless buzz below has no place inside. The view from the floor-to-ceiling windows shows the night sky lit by the shimmer of city lights, but there's no warmth, no comfort here. The sleek, modern furnishings are cold to the touch, the sharp angles of the glass and steel making the space feel like a sterile museum rather than a home. It's a place where money and status are everything, but it's also a place where emptiness hangs heavy in the air, thick with unspoken tension. In this luxurious cage, he stands by the window, hands clenched at his sides, eyes scanning the horizon, but his mind is far from the view. His world is slowly crumbling around him. The world he's worked for, the empire he's spent decades building, now teeters on the edge of destruction. He thought he could control everything. He thought he could pay to make things go his way. But the truth is, everything is slipping out of his grasp. The deal he struck with her, the woman carrying his child, was supposed to be a solution, a way to secure his legacy. But now, as the days pass and the due date looms, it feels more like a ticking time bomb. The woman sits across the room, calm as ever. The dim lighting casts shadows across her face, but her eyes are clear, unreadable. There's no visible worry, no sense of fear, only an unnerving stillness that makes him feel unbalanced. How is she so calm? He wonders. He's never been able to figure her out, an enigma wrapped in silence. She hasn't asked for anything more than what was agreed upon: carry his child, give birth, and she'd be compensated handsomely. But now, with the birth just days away, he finds himself questioning everything. As much as he tries to focus on the business at hand, something gnaws at him. He thought that by paying her, he was asserting his control over the situation. But now, he can't shake the feeling that it's not him who's in charge here. He stands there, his thoughts spiraling out of control, the weight of his powerlessness pressing down on him. Despite the wealth and power he's accumulated, he feels a deep, gnawing anxiety. How did I let it get this far? His mind is filled with doubts, his once unshakable confidence now replaced with a growing fear. His need for control is stronger than ever, but it feels like something is slipping through his fingers, something crucial. What if this baby isn't mine? What if she has other plans? Every passing moment deepens his unease. Across the room, she remains composed, unmoved by the tension in the air. She's not here for emotional turmoil, and yet it's clear that she's not the helpless pawn he imagined her to be. He's tried to read her, to understand what she's truly after. But every time he thinks has gotten close, she shuts him out. There's an icy calm in her demeanor, a silence that speaks louder than any words could. It frustrates him, makes him feel like he's not in control of the situation. She's playing a game, but the rules seem to be hers alone. She doesn't seem to fear him, doesn't seem to want anything from him beyond what was agreed upon. But is it really that simple? He's not so sure anymore. The silence stretches between them, thick and suffocating, until he can no longer stand it. He turns sharply, his voice rising in frustration. "What do you want from me?" he demands, the words coming out with a force he doesn't entirely control. He's trying to get a reaction, trying to break through the wall of indifference she's built around herself. His eyes search hers, hoping to see something, anything, fear, guilt, emotion. But she only meets his gaze with the same calm detachment she's shown all along. Her lips curve into a faint, knowing smile, and she stands slowly, her movements graceful and deliberate. She crosses the room, the space between them narrowing with every step, but she doesn't seem rushed. When she's just a few feet away, she stops, eyes still locked on his. "I don't want anything from you," she says softly, her voice low and measured. "You're the one who's lost everything." The words hang in the air, heavier than any of the tension they've shared so far. His stomach clenches, and his mind reels as he tries to process the implications of what she just said. What does she mean by that? How could he possibly have lost everything when he's on the verge of securing his legacy, ensuring his future, his child's future? "Everything I've worked for," he starts, but his voice falters, and for the first time, doubt creeps in. His confidence wavers, and the power he thought he had seems to slip further away. He looks at her, trying to read her, to understand the meaning behind her words, but all he sees is a calm that chills him to the bone. Her expression softens, almost imperceptibly, and she steps back, leaving the question hanging unanswered. The silence creeps back into the room, thicker now, more oppressive than ever before. As the tension continues to build, the billionaire's thoughts race. What does she know that I don't? What is she planning? He can feel the weight of her calmness pressing down on him, threatening to break him. His grip on control is slipping. What should have been a simple business arrangement is spiraling into something far more complex. The situation is no longer just about the child or the empire. It's about power, manipulation, and the unknown. He glances over at her, wondering how much longer he can maintain his grip on this situation. She's a mystery he can't crack, a puzzle that's becoming increasingly dangerous to solve. And just as the tension threatens to boil over, the sound of her voice once again cuts through the thick silence. "You don't know what's coming," she says softly, almost like a warning. His heart races, but he doesn't respond. What does she mean? What is she planning? He's about to find out, and it will change everything. As the weeks slip by and the due date draws closer, the billionaire's frustration grows. He can feel it gnawing at him every moment of every day. The city outside his penthouse feels more distant now, like a world that no longer belongs to him. The wealth, the power, the empire, none of it provides the comfort it once did. He has always been the master of his domain, controlling every aspect of his life with ruthless precision. But this, she is different, and he doesn't like it. His need for control, once an unshakable foundation, has begun to crumble under the pressure of her indifference. Why doesn't she bend to my will? Every time he tries to manipulate the situation, every attempt he makes to assert dominance over her, she slips through his fingers like water. It's maddening. He's always been able to buy people, to bend them to his desires with the power of his money. But she's not like the others. She's not swayed by his wealth or status, not impressed by his flashy lifestyle or the promises of security. No, her resolve is unwavering, her emotions unreadable. And that drives him crazy. The deeper he falls into this situation, the more questions haunt him. He thought this would be simple, a transaction, a way to continue his bloodline. But the closer the birth gets, the more tangled things become. His grip on the situation feels as though it's slipping, and the thought of being out of control scares him in a way he's never experienced before. He watches her from across the room. She sits there, as always, calm and composed, barely showing any sign of the pressure she must be feeling with a baby due in just a matter of days. She doesn't flinch when he gives her orders or when his frustration flares up. She doesn't react when he pushes her buttons, trying to get some kind of emotional response out of her. He's losing his mind, and she remains a perfect picture of serenity. The breaking point comes late one evening. The lights are dim, the tension thick in the air. He's been pacing the room for what feels like hours, his mind racing with conflicting thoughts. His patience has worn thin, and his frustration can no longer be contained. He approaches her, his voice low but charged with anger. "You don't understand what this means, do you?" His words come out in a hiss. "You think you're just a pawn in a game, but I'm the one who's been giving you everything. You think I don't know how to control you?" She looks at him, her gaze unshaken, unwavering. The corners of her mouth lift just slightly, almost as if she's amused by his outburst. But there's no real amusement in her eyes, only coldness. It's the kind of look that makes him question everything, his power, his influence, even himself. "I don't want your control," she says, her voice calm, but it's clear she's finally tired of playing the passive role he's assigned her. "And I don't need your money. You don't get it, do you? You think this is about your power. But it's not. It never was." His heart pounds in his chest, anger flaring. "You're nothing but a vessel. A means to an end. You have no say in this." At her silence, his frustration peaks. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he snaps, his words bitter. "I'm not some fool you can manipulate. I built everything from the ground up. Do you think I'll let you ruin me?" Her eyes lock onto his, and she stands slowly, almost as if she's been waiting for this moment. "You think you know everything about me," she challenges, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "You have no idea who I really am." There it is. The shift. The words that finally tear away the veil of certainty he's been clinging to. He takes a step back, thrown off balance. For the first time, he feels like he's not the one in control. His mind races, trying to comprehend her words. What does she mean? How could she possibly know more than he does? How could she be the one playing him when he's the one who thought he was pulling all the strings? But in that moment, he starts to see it. The puzzle pieces that he'd been trying to force into place finally start to shift. He realizes the one thing he never truly considered before: she's not afraid of him. And that realization shakes him to his core. It's a bitter pill to swallow, and he can't seem to wrap his mind around it. For all his success, all his manipulation, he's been blind to the one truth that has been staring him in the face all along. "I've been played." The thought hits him like a punch to the gut. He's been so focused on trying to control everything, so obsessed with ensuring his empire survives, that he never stopped to question the game he was playing. All this time, he thought he was the one making the rules. But she's been the one controlling the game. It's almost too much to comprehend. But in that moment of clarity, he realizes something profound. He's not the one in power. The woman carrying his child, the one he hired, the one he thought was just a tool to get what he wanted, is the one who holds the real power. And it's terrifying. She's been quietly orchestrating things all along, watching him struggle, watching him fail, knowing all along that the moment of reckoning would come. And now it's here. The realization hits him hard, and a wave of panic rushes over him. What does this mean for the future of his empire? For the child he's been trying to control? What happens now that he knows he's no longer in charge? "What do you want from me?" he says again. But this time, it's different. The arrogance is gone, replaced with desperation. His earlier fury has turned to fear, and it's clear in his eyes. Her answer is slow, deliberate. "What do I want? I want what's mine. And what's coming is far bigger than either of us." The words hit like a bombshell, reverberating through his mind. He doesn't know what she means, but he knows it's bad. The stakes have been raised, and what started as a simple arrangement is now a life-or-death game, a battle for everything he's built. His empire is no longer secure, and the child he thought would be the key to preserving his legacy might just be the one to destroy him instead. The tension in the room thickens, a heavy, almost suffocating presence. Every word she speaks chips away at his confidence, revealing the cracks in the fortress of control he's spent years building. He realizes, with sickening clarity, that he may have already lost. The game has changed, and he's no longer sure whether he's still playing, or if he's just another pawn in someone else's master plan. The air in the penthouse is thick with tension, suffocating in its stillness. Each breath feels heavier than the last, and time seems to crawl. The billionaire paces the floor, his every step a reflection of the growing panic and frustration gnawing at him. The walls seem to close in, as if the space around him is shrinking, trapping him in a maze of his own making. His mind is a whirlwind of thoughts, all focused on one thing, the baby. Every moment he spends waiting for the child's arrival feels like an eternity, and every passing minute adds to the weight that's pressing down on him. He can't shake the feeling that something is coming, something that will change everything. The calmness in her eyes, the way she's been so steady in the face of everything he's thrown at her, is starting to unnerve him. What is she really planning? Why does she seem so unbothered by the chaos unfolding around them? He glances over at her now, sitting on the couch, her posture perfectly composed as always. She's quiet, almost eerily so, but he can see the slight movement of her hand resting on her growing belly. She's not the same woman who agreed to this arrangement. No, this woman is someone entirely different, someone with a purpose he's yet to understand. And the closer they get to the birth, the more he realizes he's been in the dark the entire time. His frustration reaches a boiling point. It's as if everything he thought he understood about control and power is slipping through his fingers, unraveling bit by bit. Every plan he's laid out, every move he's made, now feels insignificant. And she's the one in control. The phone rings, breaking the silence. It's the doctor's office, the call he's been expecting. The baby is coming. He feels his stomach lurch, his heart hammering in his chest. The fear is real now. The moment has arrived. He turns to her, his voice suddenly tight with urgency. Are you ready for this? The question isn't just about the birth, it's about everything they've been through, about everything he's been avoiding. She stands, her eyes meeting his with that same calmness. I've been ready for a long time. The hospital room is cold, the sterile white walls and the faint hum of medical equipment only serving to heighten the tension. He stands by the door, pacing nervously, waiting for the doctor's instructions. He can feel the pressure building in his chest, as if the walls themselves are closing in on him. She's in the next room, about to bring his child into the world, but everything about the situation feels wrong. He thought he understood what was happening. He thought he had everything planned out. But as the minutes tick by, he realizes how little control he actually has. He doesn't know what's going to happen when the baby is born. He doesn't know who will be in control, him or her. And that's when she appears in the doorway. Her presence fills the space, but it's not the way she normally does. There's a shift in the air, a subtle change that makes the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. She walks into the room with purpose, her expression unreadable. But there's something different about her, something that demands his attention. Without a word, she walks up to him. Her gaze is steady, piercing, and for the first time, he feels small under her scrutiny. She opens her mouth, and what she says shakes him to his core. You think I'm just some woman from a bet, don't you? Her voice is calm, but there's an edge to it that he's never heard before. You've underestimated me. He stares at her, stunned. The words don't quite register at first, but then the bombshell drops. My father lost everything because of you, she continues, her words slow and deliberate, each one sinking deeper into his mind like a blade. You ruined his company, his life. You left him with nothing, and he killed himself because of it. His breath catches in his throat. The room spins around him as the weight of her words crashes over him like a tidal wave. Her father? He remembers the name now, the company, the scandal. He remembers how his aggressive tactics had driven the man to bankruptcy, to ruin. But he never thought about the consequences beyond the business deal. He never considered the human cost. All this time, he had thought she was just a means to an end, another person to use in his grand scheme. But now, with the truth laid bare before him, he realizes how wrong he's been. This isn't just about money, or power, or legacy. This is personal, and the cost of his actions is more than he could have ever imagined. He stands frozen in place, his heart racing as his mind tries to process the enormity of what she's just said. His thoughts are scrambled, disjointed, as if he's been hit with a physical blow. He can feel the blood draining from his face, his palms slick with sweat. For the first time in his life, he feels utterly powerless. Guilt floods over him, overwhelming him with its sheer force. He built his empire on the backs of others, ruthlessly crushing anyone who stood in his way. But this is something he never saw coming. The human toll, The real consequences of his greed and ambition are suddenly all too clear. He opens his mouth to speak, but no words come out. His throat feels dry, constricted. He wants to deny it, to pretend he didn't hear what she said, but the truth is undeniable. She's right. He destroyed her father. He destroyed an entire family. And now, standing before him, is the woman who's been quietly plotting her revenge. He had no idea what he was dealing with. He had no idea how deep the hurt ran, how much she had been planning all along. For the first time, he feels his empire slipping away. All the money, all the power, none of it matters now. None of it can undo the damage he's done. He has no control over the situation anymore. Everything between them shifts in an instant. The bond they had, the fragile thread of mutual understanding that existed before, is shattered beyond repair. She's no longer the victim in this scenario. She's the one holding all the cards. She's the one who's been playing him from the very beginning, and now he's left with nothing but the bitter taste of his own failure. He looks at her, and for the first time, he sees her as she truly is, strong, unyielding, and capable of destroying everything he's built. She's not just a woman carrying his child. She's a force to be reckoned with, and he has no idea how to stop her. For a moment, there's silence between them, the weight of the revelation hanging in the air like a thick fog. He wants to apologize, to make things right, but he knows it's too late. The damage is done. There's no going back. She steps closer, her eyes never leaving his. "You thought you could control me," she says softly, almost pityingly. "But you were never the one in control, were you?" He swallows hard, the sting of her words cutting deep. "What do you want from me?" he finally manages to ask, his voice barely above a whisper. She doesn't answer him immediately. Instead, she looks at him, studying him with a calm that unsettles him. "I want what's mine," she says, her voice steady and final. "And I'll get it, one way or another." He nods, understanding at last. He's lost. He's been outplayed, outmaneuvered, and now he's at her mercy. The relationship between them is irrevocably altered. She's no longer just the woman carrying his child. She's the one in control, and is left to pick up the pieces of his shattered empire. In this pivotal scene, the truth about the woman's motives is revealed, and everything changes. The billionaire's world is turned upside down as he faces the full extent of his past actions and the woman's carefully laid plan for revenge. The emotional toll on him is profound, and the power dynamic between them shifts dramatically, setting the stage for the dramatic conclusion. The weight of the truth presses on him, suffocating, relentless. The billionaire cannot escape it. His mind replays the moments with her, the initial deal, the manipulation, the thought that he was in control. Now, every time he looks at her, he sees nothing but his own failures. Guilt gnaws at him constantly, a constant reminder of the destruction he's caused, both to her father and to his own empire. The face of the woman standing before him, calm and composed, only deepens his torment. He tries to push the thoughts away, but they linger, clawing at him. "I ruined her life," he thinks, over and over again. Her father's death, her pain, the loss, it's all my fault. And yet, he cannot take it back. He cannot undo what is done. Every moment he spends in her presence feels like a reminder of his past mistakes, a constant reminder of his inability to truly control anything. She's no longer the vulnerable woman he believed her to be. No, she's strong now, and the power dynamic has shifted. Where he once saw weakness, he now sees strength. Where he once saw a tool to further his legacy, he now sees someone who has outsmarted him at every turn. He tries to justify it to himself, tries to tell himself that he did what he did for a reason, that the business decisions, the ruthless tactics, were all part of the game. But the truth is more sinister, more real, than he's ever allowed himself to acknowledge. "I destroyed her family for money," he realizes with a sickening clarity, and it's too late to change any of it. Consequences for the protagonist. His world is crumbling. His empire, once a symbol of his strength and power, is starting to unravel. In the boardroom, the whispers have begun. The men who once feared his dominance now see an opening. His decisions are being undermined at every turn. Reports that once came with a level of deference now come with a quiet air of rebellion. His rivals are circling, testing his resolve, challenging his every move. His company's stock begins to dip, and the once stronghold of his wealth and influence now seems fragile. He tries to put on a brave face to exert his usual control, but it's clear that the foundation is crumbling beneath him. Every business move is being second-guessed, every deal questioned. Investors are growing nervous, and competitors are beginning to pick at the edges of his empire. The pressure mounts. He watches as the walls close in, his grip on the company slipping with every passing day. Even his personal life has become a constant reminder of his failures. He can no longer escape it. Whether in the quiet solitude of his office or the empty space of his home, the truth is inescapable. He looks at the world he's built, the wealth, the power, the respect, and wonders if it's all worth anything now. He's lost the one thing that kept it all together: control. And without control, nothing else matters. His empire is a house of cards, and with every new betrayal, every new revelation, the cards are falling, one by one. But the hardest part isn't the business or the empire. The hardest part is the person standing across from him. She holds all the cards now, and he knows it. The antagonist's power. The shift in power is palpable, undeniable. She is no longer the vulnerable woman he once thought he could manipulate. She's the one in control now, holding the reins of their tangled relationship, of his life, with a grip that feels tighter with every passing day. She doesn't need his money. She doesn't need his power. She doesn't need anything from him except the satisfaction of seeing him unravel. And she's taking it, slowly and methodically, dismantling everything he once held dear. His attempts to regain control are futile. She no longer plays by his rules. She's built her own game, and he's no longer a player in it. Every word she speaks, every action she takes, chips away at his dignity, his pride, his sense of self-worth. She doesn't care about the empire he's built, the legacy he thought he was preserving. She doesn't need any of it. She's already won, and she knows it. There's something unsettling about the way she carries herself now, the way she moves through the world with the calm assurance of someone who has nothing to lose. She's a different person than the one who first entered his life, but that transformation only deepens his sense of helplessness. She's no longer someone who was hurt by his actions. She's someone who has taken control, someone who's learned to use the very tools he once wielded against him. And he knows now that there's nothing he can do to stop it. He's lost. She's won. And the price of his arrogance is more than he can pay. In a last-ditch attempt to salvage what's left of his empire, he tries everything he can think of. He reaches out to old allies, those who once feared him, those who once respected him. He offers deals, concessions, even apologies, but nothing works. He meets her in his office one evening, after a particularly harrowing meeting with the board. His desperation is evident. His hands shake as he leans across the table, trying to appeal to the person he once thought he knew. "I've made mistakes," he says, his voice strained. "I know that, but I'm asking you to reconsider. We can work this out. Together." But her eyes, those eyes that once seemed full of vulnerability, are now filled with something colder, something far more dangerous. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't respond with anger or bitterness. Instead, there's a look of finality in her gaze. "You don't get it, do you?" she says softly. "This was never about making it work. It was never about you. It was about me. About getting back what was taken from my family. And I've done that. I've taken everything from you, just as you took everything from us." The words hit him like a physical blow. He wants to argue, to fight, to plead for mercy. But there's no point. The woman in front of him is no longer the one who needed him. She's the one who holds the power now. He leaves the meeting feeling defeated, his shoulders heavy with the weight of his failure. It's over, but he can't stop trying. Even after all the signs, even after she's made it clear that she's won, he can't bring himself to accept it. He tries again and again and again. He calls her, sends texts, even arranges meetings in a final desperate attempt to regain some semblance of control. But each time, she shuts him down, silently, powerfully, without mercy. She's no longer the person he once knew. The woman who was once a pawn in his game is now the queen, and he is nothing more than a defeated king, dethroned by his own mistakes. He stands at the edge of his once great empire, watching as it slips away, piece by piece. The businesses, the wealth, the power, all of it slipping through his fingers. He's lost everything he once held dear. But it's not the business he mourns, it's the realization that, in the end, he was never truly in control. She had always been the one with the power, and he had never seen it. As he stares at the crumbling remains of his world, he knows there's no going back. The consequences of his actions are irrevocable, and the woman he once thought he could control has now taken everything from him. The tension has been building for weeks, each day pushing the billionaire closer to the inevitable clash with the woman who has not only dismantled his empire but has also completely altered the course of his life. The walls of his penthouse, once a symbol of power and isolation, now feel like a prison, closing in on him as he prepares for the final confrontation. The weight of his failures hangs heavy in the air, thickening with every moment that passes. His empire is in ruins, his business is a sinking ship, and his reputation is irreparably damaged. His attempts to reclaim control have failed miserably. Every time he reaches out to his allies, every attempt to salvage the remnants of his life is met with cold silence or rejection. His financial institutions are withdrawing, his board of directors is circling like vultures, and the public has turned on him. And through it all, she remains unfazed. Tonight, he has decided, this is it. This is the moment where everything is decided. There's no going back. No more half-hearted attempts. He must face her. He finds himself standing in front of the door to her private quarters, the place where everything started. The quiet hum of the city outside does little to calm his nerves. The air inside is suffocating. He hesitates for just a moment, unsure if this will be a final plea, a desperate attempt to salvage what little is left, or a confrontation where all their buried feelings and truths will surface. He knocks once, sharply. She opens the door without hesitation, her eyes meeting his with a calmness that cuts deeper than any anger could. There's no surprise, no wariness, just a quiet understanding, as though she knew this moment would come. "Is it over, then?" she asks, her voice soft but with a weight behind it, as though she's already lived through this moment in her mind 1,000 times. The billionaire stands tall, trying to project strength, but inside, he's a wreck. "I've lost everything. My company, my reputation, my dignity. I'm done trying to fight this. I'm here to face you, and whatever happens next happens." Her eyes flicker for a moment, but there's no sympathy. "You didn't need to lose all of it," she says, her voice quiet, measured. "You could have stopped before it got this far. But you didn't, did you? You kept pushing, kept taking, until there was nothing left to take but yourself." The silence between them grows heavy, suffocating, as he tries to find words to justify himself, but nothing comes. "The truth is unavoidable now. You've been playing me from the beginning, haven't you?" he says, finally, the words bitter on his tongue. "This was never about the baby. It was never about some kind of deal. It was always about revenge." Her gaze hardens, but there's no pride in her expression, no triumph. She nods slowly. "Yes, it was about revenge, but not just for me. For everyone you've crushed, for everything you've taken from people like me. This was always bigger than just you and me, and now you understand that. You understand that it wasn't just my father's life that you destroyed. It was mine, too." The billionaire takes a step forward, anger flaring within him, but it's no longer about his own loss. It's about the reality of what he's done, the people he's hurt along the way. It's the reckoning he's been avoiding. "And what now?" he demands, his voice cracking slightly. "Now that I'm broken, what happens next?" She meets his gaze unwaveringly. "Now, you live with it. You live with the consequences. You face the damage you've done and take responsibility for it. You see how far your greed, your arrogance, has taken you, and how far it's taken me." The finality in her words hangs in the air like a heavy fog. He knows it's over. He can feel it in his chest, the weight of realization crashing down on him. Everything he had worked for, everything he thought he was built on a lie, and now he's left to face the person who has taken everything from him. But she's not done. She steps closer to him, the distance closing, until there's only a whisper of space between them. "You're not the man I thought you were," she says, her voice low but firm. "And that's the worst part. You never were." And then, just as quickly as the confrontation escalated, it's over. She turns away from him, leaving him standing alone, the reality of everything sinking in. He knows, without a doubt, that this is the moment where everything changes. There's no coming back from this. There's no way to fix the damage, no way to undo the choices he's made. The emotional and physical toll of the final confrontation weighs heavily on him. He stands motionless, as though the floor beneath him has disappeared. His entire world, once so firm and solid, is now collapsing, not in some grand explosion, but in a slow, agonizing unraveling. There's a moment where he doesn't know where he is anymore. The pain in his chest isn't from the confrontation, it's from the realization that he has truly lost everything. The empire he built, the wealth he accumulated, the power he wielded, it was all nothing more than an illusion. And now, with the truth of his destruction laid bare before him, there's nothing left but the wreckage. His stomach churns as he thinks of the people who once looked up to him, the businesses that once turned to him for guidance, the life he once took for granted. He never thought it could slip away so quickly, so decisively. But the hardest part is realizing that the woman who has taken everything from him isn't just a force of revenge. She's the consequence of his own decisions. She's the result of his greed, his manipulation, his desire for control. And now, he's paying the price. He realizes, too late, that there's no turning back. He can never rebuild what he's lost. Even if he were to somehow claw his way back to the top, even if he could somehow salvage his reputation, the consequences of his actions are now too deep, too ingrained in his soul. The guilt, the shame, and the overwhelming knowledge of what is done to her and so many others, these things will never leave him. As the hours pass, he finds himself in the quiet of his empty office, staring at the city skyline. He thinks about everything that led him to this point, the cold, calculated decisions, the manipulations, the deals. He thinks about the lives he's ruined along the way. But it isn't just the empire he's lost. It's the man he used to be, the man who believed he could control everything, who thought he was invincible. Now, he's a broken man. He's no longer the man who thought he could control everything. He's no longer the man who believed that money, power, and influence could shield him from the consequences of his actions. He's no longer the man who believed that he could destroy others without repercussions. No, now he is someone else entirely. Someone who is forced to live with the consequences of his greed, his arrogance, and his lack of empathy. The billionaire lowers his head, closing his eyes, as the weight of the realization sinks in. He cannot undo what is done. He cannot fix the wreckage he's left behind. The woman he once saw as nothing more than a pawn in his game has become his greatest reckoning. She has destroyed him, not because she wanted power, but because she wanted him to understand the cost of his actions. And now, he understands. Too late, perhaps, but he understands. Closure of the story. What began as a calculated gamble, a bet rooted in power, control, and manipulation, spirals into a tale of devastation. A billionaire, once untouchable, used his wealth to play with people's lives, believing he could bend the world to his will. But in the end, the game wasn't just about winning, it was about the consequences of his actions. This story isn't just about a billionaire losing everything he worked for. It's a stark reminder of how greed, arrogance, and the thirst for control can lead to downfall. The things he thought mattered most, his empire, his money, his power, couldn't shield him from the price he had to pay. The woman he once saw as a tool for his gain has now become his reckoning, showing him that no one is above the repercussions of their choices. And the question remains, can someone like him ever truly change? Can he recover from the damage he's done, or is he doomed to live in the shadow of his own guilt? The answer is uncertain, but one thing is clear, life always finds a way to hold us accountable. What do you think? Was the billionaire's downfall inevitable, or could he have turned things around if he made different choices? Do you believe someone who's lost everything can ever rebuild, or is he forever marked by his past? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. And of course, if you want to see more stories like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.